Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily presented by eBay. I'm Dave DuFour here with Zena Keita and Es Baraheni. Coming up, it's early, but we've already seen some red flags. We're going to talk about those. The rookies that have shown out, we're going to highlight those guys. And then I sit down with Amick and discuss the gambling situation that's happening around the NBA and how it's overshadowed an incredible start to the season. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Our first official Monday after games. You know, we had a bunch of games on Sunday. Actually, pretty good slate. Got to see some of the people and teams that we're going to talk about today. And I know that it's only been, 5 days since the NBA season started, even though it feels like 5 years, especially if you work in the front office. I've already seen some red flags. What about you guys?
Oh yeah. I wish I had one of those like red flags to just throw
like
up,
you're,
you know,
like in the NFL. All right, guys. So what have you guys seen so far that is alarming?
I'll start, and I think it's going to go right into what you might have also seen, but the lack of ball handling guards. We are now seeing what were the repercussions of the NBA over prioritizing long athletic wings that can switch 1 through 5, that can create their own shot. This is all great. They're awesome in, going downhill in open court. But when you're talking about someone that has to handle ball pressure one-on-one, someone up your jersey and being able to, amidst the chaos, set the floor, teams are really struggling. Something I looked up about this. Right now, the pace of the NBA is up 2 possessions for every team than it was a year ago. So that means everything is faster. There's faster offense, faster transition. Everything is at a different pace. So you need someone to be able to calm it down. And I'm looking at teams like Dallas. I'm looking at teams like Houston, the Indiana Pacers, the Warriors second unit. I mean, you can go down the list of teams across the association that are lacking guards to set the floor in the half court. That is a big red flag.
Houston yet to win a game. 0-2. Like I'm saying it like it's been a long time, but their offense, they struggled last year in the half court. Yeah, we're seeing them right now. There's no table setter. A men's lack of shooting is really causing issues because the defense can sag off of him, cuts down on driving lanes and passing lanes and all these other things. I mean, it does seem as if guard play is kind of at a premium right now.
Absolutely is. To that Rockets point, like they are becoming very reliant on Kevin Durant and Amen Thompson to create a lot of what they need to get downhill. But then outside of that, it's like Şengün post-ups, Şengün dribble handoffs is what they're leaning into, which
Şengün
can get
threes.
Şengün threes, yep. Which can get you into like a decent offensive rating, but overall, they need someone who can set the table. And I think, look, there's no question that injuries have hurt the Pacers, who have no guards now. Injuries have hurt the Mavericks, who have no guards right now, and the Rockets with Fred VanVleet. But we are seeing, like you said, Zena, teams deprioritizing guards and guys who can just dribble. Dribbling the basketball is important to creating advantages.
You gotta go sign a guy. Like you've got to go find a minimum guy. I mean, Russell Westbrook got signed by the Kings, but he could have been a pickup for one of these teams just to get him 100%. Through.
Yep.
Go ahead,
I'll give you guys my red flag. Okay. So there have been some new faces in new places, right? You think of, like you guys said, Kevin Durant with the Houston Rockets, Brandon Ingram with the Toronto Raptors, Paolo Banchero, Desmond Bane, Orlando Magic, that new group together. They have not gone well. All three of them have not gone well. And it's clunky. We're 5 days into this thing, but my red flag kind of goes to all of them. The Rockets, the point guard issue is big. They're over-reliant on Kevin Durant. The Raptors, their starting lineup has not figured out how to play together yet. I asked Darko Rajakovic. They are still working through the kinks of things. Their defense does not make sense to how that team wants to play every single night. And then the Orlando Magic. And I look at Paolo Banchero, who the table is now set for him to have a really good season. Set for Franz Wagner to also have a really good season. You have a 40% three-point shooter playing next to you. Tell me how Paolo Banchero has 3 assists through 3 games and 8 turnovers. He is also shooting 39% on twos. He's 4 of 20 on long mid-range jump shots. He is consistently bailed out every defense that he's played so far this week. And again, it is early, but they have to figure this out. I kind of want to just jump on the court and be like, Paolo, this is Desmond. Desmond, this is Paolo. You two are teammates. So it's been really frustrating to watch the Magic because you thought that they could break out of the habit of being a bottom 10 offensive team.
Right.
So far, red flag, I am not sure they can do that this season.
I will say this. One of the big changes I would consider if I were them is more Goga, less Wendell Carter Jr. I think his passing and his shooting would create some space. But Paolo's shot diet stinks. And it has stunk. He is he's been a good, tough shot maker at times, but he's not like a particularly good shooter. He's a little bit of a black hole. I mean, you just mentioned 3 assists in 3 games. For a guy who has the ball that much, it's just not going to work. Like, he is not a heliocentric guy. They don't want to have a heliocentric offense. I don't know what offense they actually want to have. It's true. But what's happening right now, to me, it's more of the same. It's not much change from last year to this, and except maybe like a little less passing from Paolo.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is that as I was looking at my red flag, I noticed that, yes, Houston and Dallas were in the bottom third for a lot of things, particularly unassisted field goals, whether it's 2s or 3s, the lack of assists from secondary assists, ball movement in the half court. Orlando was actually in that category too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of unassisted field goals. They're not moving the ball around and making sure, and they're lacking playmakers. It's one thing to get a safe pass across. It's another thing to get a pass that's going to get a bucket across. And that is something we're not seeing in Orlando
Look,
either.
I will say it's been a week, work in progress. All 3 of these teams that I mentioned, the Rockets, Raptors, Magic, they have a chance to be better, work on things. But right now, I don't know. New face is not looking good.
Well, speaking of flags, let's talk rookies. Cooper Flagg, we got to see him have a good game on Sunday. S against your Raptors. Your Raptors, they're going to win 48. They're still going to win 48?
Well, no, now they're going to win 47.
Okay.
They're now going to win 47.
Talk to me about Cooper Flagg on Sunday. Look, I know he had a rough start, right? Like, you start out against Victor Wembanyama and you're going to get cooked. Yeah. But I thought he looked really great, even in that sort of lead playmaker role. 4 assists, no turnovers, which the turnovers have been bad for him in the first 2 games.
Yeah, he was one of the best lob passes, alley-oop guys in college. He is completely translating that over to what he's doing for Dallas so far. You're right. The ball pressure, the ball handling has not been the greatest. And I think that's putting a lot of pressure on him to like actually be the point guard for this team, to your point earlier, Zena. But when he's been able to actually pass the ball and get downhill, he's been awesome next to Derek Lively and Anthony Davis. Also, his athleticism is just out of this world. It doesn't make sense. The way that he's able to leap defensively, to shoot the gap in certain moments. He had this crazy dunk on Sandro Mamukelashvili today where you could see the full wingspan of what he did. Look, he is the full package in terms of a wing guy who can create for you in a pinch. I don't know if the context the Mavericks have right now is the best to give him the numbers, but even in that type of context, tonight, 22 points. Yeah. Knocked down a couple threes, made some passes. So it was a really breakout performance for Cooper.
When I was doing my Sixers preview with Tony Jones, Zena, he said VJ Edgecombe has superstar potential.
Yes.
I didn't know. I was unfamiliar. And his first game was eye-opening. Game 2, by the way, 18 and 8 assists. I didn't realize that he was such a good passer. Guy is powerful, fearless. The Sixers kind of have stumbled on another golden guy. Like, it's crazy.
Honestly, I kind of love the fact that we over-indexed on Cooper Flagg being the star of this rookie class, because it makes the performances that we've seen out of VJ Edgecombe, out of Dylan Harper, out of Trey Johnson, Cedric Coward. Like, we could go down the list of all these rookies that have been bright spots, and not just casual bright spots with swagger, bright spots that can be the pillars of teams moving forward. And VJ Edgecombe is exactly that. I literally asked my Blue Sky followers, like, what's going to be the name? We had Allen Iverson, he had his name as the answer. And wait.
Yeah,
Allen Iverson was the answer.
We had Allen Iverson as the answer. We had, Joel Embiid named himself the process. And I was like, what's going to be VJ Edgecombe's thing? The fact that he plays so hard, he's so gritty. He's got this confidence about him in the backcourt with Tyrese Maxey. Yeah. Someone came came up with the edge. And I was like, I like that. I like that.
Well, it's either the edge or the comb. And I don't know if the comb instills fear in your opponent.
It doesn't work. I like the edge.
How about just VJ, guys? VJ is a good nickname too. I like it.
But what if we go VJ, but VEEJ? You know, like the old MTV VJs. Maybe he's super into music. Maybe he gets a Beats sponsorship. But VJ Edgecombe has been really great and effective at scoring. Also, I want to shout out Dylan Harper, coming off the bench for the Spurs. And I mentioned this after game 1 to Jared Weiss. I said, hey, do the Spurs have a De'Aaron Fox problem? Because they have all these guards. And the truth is, as Zena just talked about, there's no such thing as too many ball handlers. There's no 100%. Such thing as too many guys who can shoot, who can get to the basket. And Dylan Harper has made me think that the Spurs have now this is 3 drafts in a row. But in particular, the Wemby draft and this Dylan Harper pick, they're set up for another run, just like they had with Tim Duncan. This is pretty incredible when you look at the talent that they've got and compare it to like the season right before Wemby got there, where it just felt like they didn't have anything. I mean, it just really fast turnaround. Dylan Harper, I don't know this. I think there's a De'Aaron Fox problem. Like, how are you going to make him fit?
So is that your red flag? Wow.
I don't know if it's a red flag. I'm more just excited about Dylan Harper. Yeah.
Absolutely. And he crashes the glass. I mean, I love that Keldon Johnson and Victor Wembanyama gave him his flowers in the post-game press conference afterwards. He's already endearing himself onto his teammates and just being a guy that's going to move the needle for you, especially at the end of games. He's in clutch moments already, and I love that for him.
Question for you. Is Cedric Coward going to shoot 70% from 3 for the season or what? 19 a game, shooting 70% from the field, 72% from 3 for a Memphis Grizzlies team that has needed a guy like this as long as the team's been in Memphis.
100%. Look, how many times have we heard the Grizzlies should go after Kevin Durant? The Grizzlies should go after Jimmy Butler. The Grizzlies should go after Cam Johnson. Well, they have their star wing now in Cedric Coward. I'm calling it. I'm booking it. Great. This guy can be a star in this league, especially if he shoots 70% from 3.
No hesitation. I love it.
All right, guys, stick around after the break. I talked to Sam Amick about Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones, and Steph Curry. Unrelated. The NBA had an amazing opening week from multiple double overtime thriller games, 50-point games. Steph Curry was ridiculous, had a 42-point game against Nikola Jokic, even though Aaron Gordon had 50. I mean, it's just been really good basketball. But covering up a lot of that has been the gambling saga. Here to talk about it, Sam Amick, our senior national NBA insider writer over at The Athletic. You're in Sacramento right now, I should say, for the folks watching on YouTube. That's why it looks like you're in an office building or like Batman's basement. How's it going, Sam?
Good to be with you, buddy. Yes, here from the beautiful media room at Golden One Center. Might have some company here coming through at any given moment. We got Lakers Kings on this Sunday afternoon, but glad to be with you.
Give me the latest on Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, the NBA, and this FBI investigation into this gambling ring.
So it hasn't advanced too much from the other day when the FBI obviously held its press conference and slash kind of, entertainment production. They rolled out the details of the investigation. They obviously highlighted the involvement of the 3 guys with NBA ties: Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Blazers; Damon Jones, former NBA player, a friend of LeBron James; and then certainly Terry Rozier with the Miami Heat. So, it's a serious situation. It's one that, like I wrote on our site the other day, for this to come within the same 2-month stretch, that the Clippers scandal, that unfolded with the salary cap circumvention allegations there. It's just a really challenging time for the league. But in terms of this latest development, first and foremost, not that, there are degrees of peril here for these different individuals.
Right.
But Chauncey Billups, having been allegedly part of these rigged poker games that took roughly $7 million from a bunch of different folks who didn't know that they were getting schemed. He's facing really significant jail time. And so first and foremost, before we even get to all the league implications or what it means for the NBA, I got a guy in Chauncey with a tremendous professional reputation. A lot of people around the league who care about him and who are pretty stunned by the allegations. And then again, the two other guys as well. So just a crazy time in the league.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's the pervasiveness of sports gambling. We see it every single place. I mean, when these things were being talked about on some of the broadcast partners, there's gambling advertisements on screen while they're talking about it. And I will say, I want to point people to David Aldridge wrote a great piece discussing how tanking actually contributes to an environment that makes it easier for these sorts of things to happen. In talking to people in the last week, Sam, are you hearing around the league, whether it's people that you talk to from teams or with the front office of the actual NBA itself, do you think that this is going to create a sort of a tide to change the relationship that the NBA has with some of these sports gambling companies? And maybe even the parlay stuff is where it really does seem to be very extreme. But tanking in and of itself is essentially, you're shaving points, right? You're going to play worse players. You're going to do these things and quote unquote lose on purpose. You're not throwing the game necessarily, but you are for all intents and purposes. Could you see, are you hearing that people want to make changes?
No, not just yet when it comes to things like tanking. I think certainly the prop bets, and Adam Silver had been on record before this scandal broke about wanting to kind of, narrow that window of what constitutes an allowable prop bet. And let's not have players who are going to be incentivized to do something, unseemly. The Jonte Porters of the world who are not making big bucks. And Jonte, of course, was already, he pled guilty and was in the background of this investigation as well, but, the same accusations. So prop bets, I think, get cleaned up from there, at least for now. Dave, I would probably, highlight what Draymond Green had to say the other night after the Warriors game, which is that this relationship with the gambling companies is not going away. It's been, it's filling their pockets. It raises the BRI. Everybody benefits from that. And in that respect, I don't see it changing. But they're going to obviously have to tighten things up. And I think the other specific area to look at is injury reporting, and that window of time, that soft spot from when a team has clarity on whether or not a guy's going to go and it actually gets reported, or the fuzziness about reporting. The Sixers are kind of notorious for fudging their injury report. That type of stuff has got to go by the wayside, because that is where there's a lot of potential for nefarious betting activity.
And by the way, it does seem as if some of these sports books have actually told the NBA when they've detected anomalies, and that's how some of this has actually worked itself, like where the NBA is.
Correct. Yeah.
Jonte Porter situation. Yeah. Okay. So again, you wrote this piece the other day and you talked about how the scandals are just obfuscating a great start to the NBA season. I mean, last year, and we talked about this a lot this summer, last year was one of the best seasons I've had covering the NBA when it comes to the quality of the basketball, the enjoyment from night to night, just the competitiveness. And then we got that great playoff. This week has been a continuation of that. I mean, we got game 8 of Thunder Pacers the other night. It has been a really great start. And I do think it's been lost. I've gotten more texts from people who aren't huge, casual basketball fans about the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones situation than I did about Steph Curry. Victor Wembanyama, by the way, being the one thing that has universally been just overwhelmed with text messages about was every time somebody sees Victor do something, I get a text. But what is what's your favorite thing from opening week? Again, you've been to all these games, you've been out there and seen all this stuff. What's the best thing you've seen?
Well, first of all, since you mentioned the YouTube crowd, I don't know why I suddenly look like I'm in the heavens with the lights coming across the screen.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a glare.
Yeah, all good. It really is too bad how much it's overshadowed a lot of the good action, but not all of it. You mentioned Wemby. If I got to pick one, I think watching Wemby unleashed is just bonkers. I tried to pull it up here, fun with numbers. I know it's only 3 games, but at this rate, Wemby averaging 33.3 points per game, 13.3 boards, and a stout, 6 blocks a game, Dave. That's pretty good. I think if he kept that up, he would probably be in the thick of that MVP race. And like, to me, small sample size, yes, but Victor, I think announcing that he is going to be in the top 5 this year as an elite player, very possibly has been fun to watch. I don't even know where to start from there. I've been around the Warriors a fair amount. Steph being 35, almost 36, doing what 37.
36, yeah.
It was 37. It's Draymond and Jimmy are the 35-year-olds. But Steph just killing it. And, I know they dropped that game in Portland, but even in that game, he showed out offensively. That's always a great thing for the NBA, especially when LeBron is on the shelf because of his sciatica. That's exciting. I mean, you mentioned OKC doing their thing, the double OT games, the Rockets finding their way without Fred VanVleet. How about the undefeated Milwaukee Bucks, Dave DuFour?
How about him?
Giannis doesn't need to go anywhere. And it's only 2-0, but it has been a lot of fun. And as a final thought on that question, I did chuckle when I wrote the column I wrote, and I kind of honestly shared that like the news of that day was so kind of overwhelming from a job standpoint that I was at the Warriors game, but mentally I was not at the Warriors game. I literally did not notice that Aaron Gordon was on a heater until he hit his 8th consecutive 3. But some of the commenters were like, man, if you're not going to make good use of that seat on press row, then I'll do it. What's wrong with you? So it was almost great to see the fans saying, all right, you might've been distracted by all the controversy, but I think a fair amount of the fans were not, and they did enjoy the week.
Yeah. You have any takes that you want to back off of after the first week, or do you have any that you want to double down on?
I got that.
Okay, let me hear.
The first one is in this very building in the preseason. I walked out of here like a Clippers, spokesman telling everybody how great they looked when they put a beating on the Kings. And it was just preseason, but the way they did it, talking to some of the guys afterwards, I even wrote about a little lighthearted moment when James Harden was leaving after the game. And I said hello to him real quick. And I said, man, you guys look pretty good. And he smiled and he's like, man, we don't even have Bogey or Brad yet because Bogdanovich and Beal were still out. So they were flexing a little bit at that time. And then, my gosh, for them to go do what they did against Utah and just lay an absolute egg. And I know they got the W in game number 2, but they just have not looked quite as good as I thought they might be in the preseason. So curious to see where they take it. I guess takes to double down on. I don't know. This isn't the Denver situation is interesting. Like to see them drop that game to the Warriors was not an indictment of Denver at all, but it was kind of I think maybe an early sign that it maybe it really is going to be just OKC and everybody else, and even a team like the Warriors being up into that kind of 1A tier that maybe, we thought was going to be just Denver, Houston, Minnesota.
Right. Yeah. The Warriors are mine. I was too low on them. And now that we all just at some point age catches up to everybody except for LeBron James and Steph Curry, apparently. And,
what did you make of the Portland game, though? I didn't watch it that closely, but
I will say this: they're going to struggle because they're older and they're going to rest their guys on back-to-backs. And I think that some of this is going to be just the way that they handle the roster. They will drop some games like that. But Portland's young and tough. Right? It's not like they lost to a bad team.
Right.
So, I think that they're going to be better. I think come playoff time, if they're healthy, that's scary because of the corporate knowledge, the rest that they're going to have in the playoffs. I mean, they could probably beat anybody. I mean, OKC is, they are looking like the favorites. I mean, big time.
Well, and it's just another thought real quick on the West. As I sit here for this Kings-Lakers game, the Lakers have got to be careful because now they got news that Luka is going to be out for at least a week.
That's right.
And,
we got that today. It's Sunday.
Yeah. And so nothing serious, but you can drop a handful of games with him out because obviously still no LeBron. And, you look up and you're already trailing a bit in the West, and it's just so loaded that's pretty challenging.
Yeah, and I think Indiana Pacers probably got to look out for a similar situation. An injury report is a mile long right now, and that they got their pick. So that could be maybe this team that we thought might be scrappy and kind of in the mix for the playoffs might not be. So, All right, guys, go and read Sam over at The Athletic. Sam, I'm going to let you get to this Kings-Lakers game, which I'm guessing is going to be a thriller. Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks to Zena and Es for joining me earlier in the show. Thanks to Sam Amick. I'm Dave DuFour. This has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.